So throughout my journey of going from zero and being dead broke, living with my parents back in Sweden, to now making over $45,000 per month, there was one specific thought that I had to completely delete, completely just kill and remove from my mind altogether in order to actually get to this point. I'm going to explain what it is in this video to hopefully help you get closer to your goals as well, because this one thing is probably something that you have holding you back right now as well. It was a big thing. It took a lot of time and struggle for me to understand and actually overcome, and I still sometimes struggle with this at this point. So I want to break it down, like what it actually is, help you understand like how I overcame it, so that hopefully you can just skip this altogether and get to your goal faster as well. And so you need to understand first of like where does it actually come from, what I'm actually talking about here. And this comes from like really where my whole journey started. When I grew up and like I started entrepreneurship, trying to make money online, and I told this idea to people around me, to my friends, my family. You know, what was their like natural reaction? What's the natural reaction when you tell anyone about your goals? They tell you that first thing they tell you is literally that it's risky. It's gonna be hard to achieve that. It's not realistic. You know, that's what my parents told me. My dad, for example, has been like working different 9-to-5s his entire life. When he was younger, he used to have his own business, and then he stopped doing that, and he's been working in different like jobs since then. My mom is a bit more entrepreneurial, but my dad is like, he's been working 9-to-5s. His reaction was immediately, it's like, it's a big risk. You should not take a risk like that. You should be more realistic. You should see like if it's actually possible to do. He was always very like looking at things from the lens of what if it fails. Basically, it's having a very fearful way of looking at life. And that perspective kind of rubbed off on me, and I think a lot of people probably watching this video right now, you make the same mistake. If you look at entrepreneurship, you look at trying to make money online, trying to achieve your goals from the perspective of constantly asking yourself, what if it doesn't work out? And you're basically having this fear, you're carrying this internal fear and letting that dictate a lot of things that you do. And the crazy thing with entrepreneurship and trying to make money online and trying to get to 10K, 20K, create a life of freedom, whatever you want to call the journey that we're all on of trying to get freedom and not being a 9-to-5 that I've been on my entire life, that you're probably on as well right now watching this, is that if you operate from a perspective of fear, you're trying to avoid failing, guess what? If that's your focus and you attract that shit into your life, if you're focused right now on like, I don't want to fail, I want to make sure I succeed, and you're worried about what if I fail, trying to like avoid all the mistakes, guess what? You will attract failure into your life. If you know anything about like the laws of the universe and like how stuff works, is that what you put your attention towards is what you attract. If you put your attention towards like, what if I fail? What if I stay stuck? What if I pick the wrong business model to get into? What if I make a mistake? What if I lose money? Guess what? That will happen as well. I'm getting absolutely blinded by the sun right now, but I want to explain this point to you anyways. I'm just going to keep getting blinded by the sun here anyways. And the thing is, you need to understand that if you put your attention towards that the fear and what if it doesn't work out, you will get that into your life. Knowing that to be true, if you shift that and you realize, okay, fear and having fear and holding worries about what if I fail, that's gonna keep you stuck. Then you also realize if you let go of that completely and you trust your ability to figure stuff out, you trust that if you just commit to the belief that you have, to the goals that you have, you will get there. That is when that becomes true as well. And this, it might sound like woo-woo, might sound it's kind of like a bit out there, it's like it sounds like spiritual and shit, but like it's so true. Because this is exactly what happened in my life. I used to, when I started off in my journey, my parents and people around me told me like, yeah, it's be realistic, making 10K a month, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna take a lot of time. Don't waste all your money buying different like mentorships and courses. I remember buying a course, my parents like freaking out completely. And throughout my entire year, it's always been the case where like my dad specifically, he's always been like very risk averse. When I left my hometown in Sweden, I went to Colombia, he was like freaking out. It's like, why are you going to like a third world country to like pursue your goals there? Like, why don't you stay in Sweden? Like, he was always very risk averse and like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? You know? And I realized eventually that thinking that way, let me actually move this into the shadow because I think my camera is gonna overheat. So what I was saying is, I think, or I've noticed that way of thinking, that pattern that like he kind of thinks through, like how he looks at his life, has gotten him to a position where he's not really happy with where he's at, you know? So a lot of people, they have this way of like kind of externalizing their struggles, you know? They might not agree with themselves or like acknowledge themselves that they're not happy with where they're at. And a lot of people do that. They stay in this pattern where like they have fear and things like that. I think my dad definitely has done that, where it's like he is not where he wants to be in his life, but he doesn't acknowledge that to himself. He doesn't, he's not open. He doesn't, what's the word? I can't remember the word right now. He doesn't agree. He doesn't let himself accept. He doesn't accept, that's the word. He doesn't accept the fact that he's not happy with where he's at. And And it's all because of fear. And I see that now from my position, because I've obviously like bypassed multiple stages of fear. But you might not see that in your life right now. So the question I want to ask you, and the point of this video, is think to yourself, like when you're 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, do you want to be the guy who's going to look back at your life knowing that you never really like took action on your goals because you always viewed everything from a place of fear? You never really stepped into and like took action on the things that were a bit outside the norm, that you were a bit scared to do because you were so scared, what if it doesn't work out? And that's why you never achieved anything in your life. Like, is that truly what you want? I know for me that scares me more than anything else. Like, my absolute nightmare is being 60, 70, 89 years old on my deathbed and knowing that I didn't do anything that I could. I didn't do everything that I could to actually... I'm hopping into the shadow again. My phone is getting absolutely cooked right now by the sun. That's my fear. That's honestly like the biggest thing that I'm scared of, ending up in a position where I'm just nowhere near where I want to be, and I cannot provide for my future family, my future kids, etc., because I did not take the actions that I was scared to take. And this goes even further, because if you look at these people that are very successful right now, if you look at someone like, for example, a very controversial guy, but Togi, if you follow him, that guy who's doing like gambling and like all these different very degenerate stuff, you know? Why is someone like that so successful? Because he doesn't have any fear. That guy just goes out, and whatever he thinks that he can achieve, he just takes actions to get it. And then there's no blocks, there's no stops, there's nothing like that's stopping him from achieving his goals. And that's the issue with people like maybe you watching this. If you're watching videos like this, you're probably like a very smart and like intellectual and like intelligent individual. And the issue with that, I was the same way. You overthink, you overanalyze, you think that you're smart because you're like analyzing all the details. But in reality, that's keeping you massively stuck from actually achieving goals. We would benefit, I've benefited on my journey by just reducing my intelligence, you know, and stop trying to be so smart, and instead of just setting out a goal, thinking to yourself like, what do you actually want to achieve? And then having is like the delusional belief to just like take relentless action to get to that goal. No matter if it's realistic or not, no matter what people around you tell you, you just take action towards that goal, and you just let go of the fear. You just believe so much that everything else becomes irrelevant. That's what guys like Togi do. He doesn't have, like, fear is not even a concept for him. He doesn't even think to himself like, is this realistic? He's like, goes out and gets what he thinks he's gonna get. And that's the most powerful way you can operate. That's how you get quick change in your life and just to quickly ascend in terms of income, in terms of getting to the goals that you have, by just relentlessly moving and accepting that fear is a constant. It's always gonna be there, but just moving in spite of it. And I made this a routine for myself, and every single day I remind myself of this, because it's been so key in my journey. Because the more I've learned to like not let fear be the concept that holds me back, the more success I've seen. So I had this written down every single day in my notebook, where I usually write down like, I feel the fear, but I act in spite of it. I can feel nervous, scared, uncertain, worried about if I'm gonna be able to make it work, doubt, but I just move despite of that. And it's been such a key thing in my journey. That's what I'm sharing with you in this video, so hopefully you can do the same thing for yourself. Start realizing that when you feel scared, that is the way forward. And the more you can just be okay with that thought, because you're not really gonna remove the thought, you're not gonna delete the thought from your own head. What you learn to do is you learn how to handle it. You learn how to not let fear, doubt, uncertainty control you. You have something else, you have a goal that's so much more important to you, and you just buy so much into that belief of, I can get to my goal that I have, I can get to 10K per month, I can get the freedom, I can get out of 9 to 5. And you just buy into that belief so much and be so much just stepped into that version of yourself that fear and all these other things become irrelevant. You can feel it, it comes up, but you don't put any importance towards it, you don't act upon it. That's when your life changes, and that's why people that seem to be less intelligent than you are, people that seem to be dumb, make so much more money because they simply do not put any importance towards fear or what people say about them. I hope this is valuable for you. I hope this makes sense. I just want to come on and speak my mind and share the stuff, and get cooked by the sun, getting some tan going at the same time. So yeah, I'll keep tanning here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Ciao.